Welcome to Leadership CEOs. You are here because you were made for more. Be a CEO, a creator of expansive opportunities. My name is Michelle Shutter, and I have a simple question for you today. How will you lead your ship? Because without a doubt, you were made for more, period. Fly your ship, and let's get started. Hello. Good afternoon, good evening, no matter when you are listening or watching this. I want to welcome you to this week's masterclass, episode 8, which is the upheaval of the up level. Now, let's face it, we have all had upheavals in our life. And for me, at least, it always seems like when I'm in this place of up leveling. So, what do you do when you feel like everything is falling apart and you're in the middle of it and you're in this middle of this up level, and all of a sudden all this stuff is like, here comes the upheaval, right? Like everything at once. Well, we're going to dive into that today. And so I'm super excited to be able to share this with you today. So let's get started. As you know, I've been in the whole process of just, I guess, revealing my new brand, Leadership CEOs, and really crafting on what lands for the heart-centered women. And I really took, my mission, what I love to support, and I actually even broke it down a little bit more this week. So if this is the first time you are watching or listening, this will be brand new. If you have seen some of my videos or listened to some of my podcasts, this will be just a little bit tweaked from what I've shared before. So as a quick introduction, my name is Michelle Shutter, and I support heart-centered women just like you. Here it comes, in liberating your greatness so that you can impact more lives with your gifts, generosity, and genius. The 3 G's. Actually, it would be like 4 G's there, but that's what it is about. And when we can liberate our greatness, that is where we start to challenge the modern conditioned style of life. When we can see our vision and we know deep within our soul that we are made for more, that's when we can start impacting more lives with our gifts, our generosity, and our genius. So let's use today's episode to begin to liberate our greatness, because let's face it, we get one chance at this thing called life. Like, let's liberate our greatness and impact lives the way that we know we were called to do. So here's one thing I want you to realize that I didn't get when I started my businesses, and I really wish someone would have shook me or tattooed it across my head or something for me to realize, to know that upheavals happen to everyone. They are not exclusive just to you. So when I started my business, my network marketing business, about 10 years ago, I would have things that would come up, and I just thought, looking at everybody else, nobody else had any issues or any problems. It was just me. And I'm here to tell you that isn't the truth. That isn't the truth. Everyone goes through upheavals. And unfortunately, social media has a tendency to hide some of that. So today we're going to expose it. I'm going to share with you some of the situations that I encountered in upheavals. And perhaps you can use what you're learning today to apply it to your next up level when an upheaval occurs. So yes, it happens to everyone. And here's the thing I want you to realize, which I didn't realize, what would be different if you looked at this upheaval as, oh my gosh, this change was meant to be. You have to grow and expand and evolve yourself through this upheaval, because on the other side of it, everything that you want is there waiting for you. To be quite honest, I didn't get that message. When an upheaval came for me, I dug my feet in, I dug my heels in, and I put the brakes on. I could not even see the other side of it because I was so focused on what was going wrong versus what was good and what was happening in a positive fashion, even within the upheaval. Even as we're judging it as good or bad, it doesn't matter, right? There's still something to be learned, something to grow from, something to expand, something to evolve. It's all there for you. But you have to have the gumption to want to dive into it. So when I think of upheaval and when I look at some of the situations that I really experienced that in, it really came down to 3 areas. And these 3 areas generally are common problems for people. And they're 3 areas that when you start to peel back the layers, like it always lands somehow with one of these. So the 3 areas that upheavals generally show up in are around time, around money, and around our health. Now, the one thing that we want to remember is, yes, those are the 3 areas, but brewing underneath of those, what we are fueling those with are our thoughts. And our thoughts, again, will either empower or disempower us. So we want to make note of that, of the thoughts, especially in those areas. So let me give you an example. There was a goal that I was going for, I don't know, probably about 6 years ago. And I had this plan. I was on track. I was taking action. And, like I'm 3 days probably into this plan and I'm feeling good with things. And all of a sudden, like the apple cart is turned upside down, right? Like the kids are sick all of a sudden. There's more appointments now that I need to go to. All this unexpected stuff, like they can't go to the sitter. I have to be home with them. And of course, like I'm not negating this whole place of wanting to nurture and care for them and be their mom, right? Because that's me too. But I could not see beyond that. And in addition, so we have all this stuff going on with the kids. In addition, like the calendars are changing, more things are happening in their schedule, which impacts my schedule, which again, like I had all this time carved out. And all of a sudden, I'm in this tailspin of overwhelm. Hence the upheaval, right? I'm going for this goal. I'm ready to up level. I'm taking action. I think that, oh yes, this is it. This is the time. And all of a sudden, all this stuff comes up. Now, here come my thoughts and my words. So I'm already now starting to feel this angst within me, right? I'm overwhelmed. I'm downright ticked off at times, and not at my kids for being sick or anything like that, but it comes from my words of, this always happens to me. I set a goal, I'm ready to up level, and all of a sudden here comes the upheaval. This always happens to me. Wow. Right? Now, if I think of that as an observer, where I step outside of my body and I'm flying overhead and I'm looking at this whole situation of what I'm in, that's completely victim mode. How on earth can I truly rise to the up level if I'm in this victim mode? The energy is not a match between those two. And so there's an energy exchange, but there's no attractor factor for the up level and where I'm at. Will I attract other things that cause me to be more pissed off or to be more in the victim mode? Absolutely. Absolutely. So that whole situation was around time. So and again, like I have numerous situations, I have numerous upheavals, but I'm just pulling out a few so that perhaps you can relate to one of these as well. The second thing is around money. So a lot of you perhaps have some sort of business. Maybe it's a network marketing business. Maybe you're just a small business owner. You have an online business, whatever it is. So there was another time where I was feeling really good with my team members.
the amount of people that were really looking to improve their health. We were all like together in this and really starting to grasp, the vision of what we could do by working together. And then the upheaval came. So it was this space of people then were returning products, people were canceling their orders, people didn't want to move forward. It was like they no longer wanted to step into the fullest, healthiest version of themselves. Like they started retreating. But what I didn't understand is that they too were in an upheaval. They wanted to up level, but because energetically they weren't aligned with where they wanted to go, they were having an upheaval, which then rolled down like the snowball effect, right? It got bigger as it got to me, and all of a sudden I'm in the middle of an upheaval. And I could just watch my whole team just unravel. I could just watch them completely fade away. And that is not a great spot to be in by any means. But again, I didn't understand that I was supposed to learn, that I was supposed to grow, that I was supposed to evolve and expand through this. Like I took this so personally, and I'm going to share with you why this all happens, okay, in a second. But I took this so personally because of that whole piece, that area of money. Like I was so focused on my goal, which had a financial piece connected to it, that I didn't really look at the whole picture. And I'm going to dive deeper into that as we go on here. But the third thing when you are trying to up level is generally around your health in some way. Now, for me, this area is probably the easiest for me to move through quickly. But that doesn't mean that I haven't had upheavals in this area, okay? So when I think of health, I think of, for me, it was like workouts. For me, it wasn't always necessarily about releasing a lot of weight, but it was about feeling the best that I could in my body. And there was a point in my life where I didn't really even know how good I could feel because I was so used to feeling so groggy and so fatigued and so tired and so cloudy and that whole brain fog, okay? So the one thing in the area of health that even sometimes I still have to be really conscious about, and I still slip through this at times too, like I am not perfect, I'm no different than any of you, is this whole place of when I'm up leveling and I feel this upheaval coming on, do I go for a sweet? Do I go for some ice cream? And again, like it's almost like an avoidance because it's in this space where it almost wants to go into self-sabotage. So the upheaval isn't necessarily about self-sabotage, but we can make it about self-sabotage so easily. So it's really important that we want to be aware and conscious of what we are doing, because especially with our health, it's so easy to retreat to old patterns. I can tell you that when I was a teacher, so I quit teaching about 5 years ago. I was a teacher for 20 years. There were many years in my career where I would come home and it would be like, let's have a glass of wine. And it wasn't a big drinker or anything like that. And it wasn't a bottle a night or anything like that. But having that alcohol on a consistent basis was my way of moving through the upheaval. And did it serve me? Absolutely not. It didn't. And so one of the things that you want to be ultra aware of is just that. Your choices that you are making unconsciously, your words that you are saying to yourself, your thoughts that you are thinking, because all of that carries an energetic vibration that will either empower or disempower you. So how is all this connected? Well, for me, it came down to perfectionism. Whenever I was in an upheaval, it was this piece of me that wanted everything to be perfect. And because I was a perfectionist, I also was very attached to the outcome. Because in my ego mind, I knew that this is the way it should be. So if I go back to my first example where I was talking about going for a goal, and all of a sudden, like the kids' calendars or the kids getting sick and my time being taken away from me in a sense, like I was so attached to that time in a perfectionistic way. I thought that this was the way it should go. This is the way it should be. And now looking back, I know that no, that was not the way it was supposed to go. That was not the way it should have been. Could I have altered that knowing that I could consciously make a different choice? I could really tap into the energetic level that would serve me to meet the up level at a different way? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I didn't know what I didn't know. When I think of that whole spot, that whole example I gave you where teammates are falling off, I was so attached to that dollar amount that I couldn't see beyond that, and I couldn't see their own upheavals, nor could I even coach them through that, right? Because I didn't even get it myself. Like I was so unconscious at that time. And that's why, it's really important that you really dive deep into your awareness and your consciousness as you are liberating your greatness. And then that third one, when I think about my health, it's that whole space too of, you have an ideal body image at times. And again, that gets warped by our media, social media, any kind of media. But what I didn't realize is I was tapping into the self-sabotage because that was my old self wanting me to dig my heels in the midst of an upheaval. And what I want you to realize is if that is you, where you are retreating back to your old patterns of eating, or you're going for the sweets to numb things or avoid, or alcohol, anything to comfort, you will never maximize your up level in that state. Because the junk food, the sodas, the sweets, the alcohol, that is not a vibrational match to where you truly deserve to go. So stay really conscious about that in terms of what you are putting in your body. Now that goes for, whole foods, organic foods. It also goes for like things that you're using to supplement your body. Not everything is created equal. So make sure that you are doing your due diligence. The other thing about that whole piece of being the attached perfectionist is the spot of who would I disappoint if I didn't say yes? So even though I had this whole place of going for the up level, and all of a sudden here comes the upheaval, like that old self spoke to me in such a strong way of like, you need to say yes, or what would happen if, or here comes the guilt, or you can handle another 10 plates on your hands even though you're already balancing 20, right? Like all of that is just old junk. It's just old garbage that for whatever reason we feel we need to drag along. Perhaps it's time that we look at some of that and really like unhitch the hitch. Okay, let's leave it behind. So what does that mean for you? Well, as I have a few notes here. Here are some things like I want you to use as check-ins for yourself. And when I think of these questions that I'm going to ask you, know that when you are trying to push through some of this, when you are trying to work harder, when you are trying just to hustle and that grind that just doesn't feel cohesive to you, it is really a sign for you to step out and look at a different alternative in terms of your actions. I don't believe you need to bail out of the up level because that's there for a reason. I want you to look at your actions in terms of when you're in the upheaval, if that makes sense. So here are some check-in questions that I want you to think about. So when you are ready to up level for something and here comes the pile-in of junk, because we know it's coming, right? Sometimes it's more messy than the next, and sometimes it's less messy, but here are just some questions, some check-ins for you regarding this. Number one, how much fulfillment are you receiving in the up level? So I want you, so it's like, here I'll use two pens again, like here you are, and here's where you want to go. I want you to just to jump ahead forward into the up level and really tap into how much fulfillment are you receiving by really visualizing and putting yourself into that fulfillment or into that space. What is fulfilling to you about that? Because that is the energy you want to connect to as you are moving through the upheaval. You could say, well, I'm in the middle of this upheaval right now and it frickin' sucks and I don't have any fulfillment in the upheaval. Right. Because you're so narrowly focused with your blinders on that you're just so stuck in the junk of it. I want you to step out of it and step into that up level like it's almost like it's right there. It's as close as your breath. It already happened. How much fulfillment is that bringing you? Because here's a sign. If that up level isn't aligned with truly what you want and it's not bringing you this fulfillment that really fuels your soul, the upheaval will never dissolve. So make sure that that up level, whatever you have chosen, is bringing you pure fulfillment. Okay, so that's a check-in question. Question number 2. When you're in this upheaval, how are others being impacted by your status? So think about the people that you surround yourself with, whether it's your family, whether it's colleagues, friends, whoever. How are they being impacted by your status? If you are so engrossed in the upheaval and you lose sight of the up level, how are they being impacted? I can tell you from my experience that when I was in the upheavals and I didn't connect to that fulfillment in the up level, I wasn't always kind. And that doesn't always make me feel great to say that, but like I was short, snappy with my husband, with my kids, and I don't like that, right? I didn't like that. That wasn't my true self. That wasn't who I really wanted to be to them for our relationships. But I lost sight of the up level and the fulfillment of how it was truly fueling my soul. So really stay in tune to that. And the other part of that is if you are up leveling and your up level is going to impact others, if you don't move through that upheaval, how will those people be impacted? So let's say you have this beautiful message that you are to bring to the world, this calling within your soul because you know that you were made for more. And you're in the middle of this upheaval and you don't move through it, and your message essentially dissolves, what about all those people that deserve to hear your message? Connect to them. Connect to their spirit. Connect to their energy, because they're waiting for you. Actually, they're waiting for your energy so they can connect with you. But if you don't move through that, they never get the opportunity. And the third question I want you to check in with is, how connected are you to your true self? And this kind of goes with the first one in terms of fulfillment. But when you are looking at that up level, does it really speak to your heart and soul? Does it light you up in a way that, you know what, if there was no money involved, I would still want to do this because I absolutely love this? How connected are you to your true self? Now, I have a little gift for you around that I'll give you the details about at the end of this video and the end of this podcast, but I want you to think about that whole piece of being connected to your true self, because over time, and there's numerous factors that cause us to become disconnected, but we widen that gap between who we are and our true self, and we start to separate from it. And there should be no separation. We should be one with our true self. So really spend some time on that as well when you are in the upheaval, okay? Some other things I want you to consider when you're in the upheaval is that you're not defined by your current situation. You are not defined by your current role. Everything is temporary. Your current role or roles are not your identity. You are a beautiful soul that is here to have the most amazing human experience possible. An upheaval could never take that light away from you. So whatever situation you're in, whatever role that you're having to play in this upheaval, know that it could never impact the light, the magic, the beauty, the grace that is deep within you, because you are a beautiful soul. And the second thing I want you to think about is, sometimes when we're in the upheaval, our focus is actually too small. The up level is not expansive enough. And so when I say that, for some of you, it may be like, oh my gosh, like I should think bigger. And you'll feel an excitement around it. And some of you may be like, oh my gosh, I have to think bigger. Like there's some fear that comes up around it. These are all opportunities for you, and neither one nor the other is good nor bad. But allow yourself the ability to expand your focus, because perhaps the change that you are ready to step into through this upheaval needs to be expanded even more, needs to be grown even greater. It's all there waiting for you. So now you're probably wondering, oh my gosh, like how do I even work through an upheaval? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because I do share 5 ways that you can move through an upheaval, and I share it in the Lead Her Ship CEOs Facebook group. So if you'd like access to the full episode where you can learn 5 different strategies to move through an upheaval, make sure that you click in the link in the description and it will take you there. Now, keep in mind, there's two really other important things that I feel obliged to share with you right now. One is make sure you are surrounding yourself with the right people. Yes, it's really great sometimes to have people that will hop in the box with you and will, embrace you and are compassionate with you. But it's also really important that you have people that are standing outside the box that will pull you out of the box so that you can really step into your greatness and take full advantage of that up level. That may be different groups online. It might be coaches, mentors, people that have been through a similar situation. It doesn't matter, but you have to be ultra conscious of who you are surrounding yourself with. And then secondly is make sure you stay present. Worry is a great way to take yourself out of the game and into the future. It is a great way to make this upheaval like exploded into something more than it even needs to be. So make sure you are present. Make sure you are not tapping into the anxiousness, the frustration, the fears, all of that, because that will not support you at your highest level. Again, it's an energetic match. Your up level is high, and these worry, these fears, these anxieties, they're a low vibrational energy. So you will match things that are lower. You will bring more things to you that will increase the upheaval if you are resonating at those lower states. Now, one thing I mentioned earlier too is if you are ready to truly liberate your greatness and really step into your up level, and whether you're in an upheaval or not, perhaps it's time we stopped and we got on a call and really looked at developing a plan as to how you could move forward and really tap into your greatness, to really liberate your greatness so that you can make that impact with your gifts, with your generosity, with your genius. So if that is something you are interested in, make sure you shoot me a message or check the description for a link as well. And then finally, in the episode, I also talked about, how connected are you to your true self? Over time, it happens to all of us. We really start to move away from our true self, and not intentionally, right? It happens unconsciously. But it's so important that we begin to bridge that gap and really collapse that gap so that we can be connected to the truest essence of who we are. If you'd like the 9 steps that I put together on how to reconnect to your true self, it's in PDF format. Make sure that you check the description for the links for that as well, because I have that available for you. So I am, as always, super honored and super grateful that you took some time out of your day to really step into something different, to really listen to your soul, because deep in your soul, you know that you were made for more. So perhaps it's time now that we liberate your greatness, that you begin to lead her ship in a new way so that you can impact more lives with your gifts, your generosity, and your genius, and really become a CEO, a creator of expansive opportunities. Until next time, love you lots. See you then.
Hey, it's Michelle. If you got value from this, I would be so grateful if you would share this message with a girlfriend, a teammate, a coworker, a neighbor, a sister, someone that is ready to lead her ship and become a creator of expansive opportunities. Because after all, you were made for more. We were made for more, and we're in this together. Fly your ship.